test it. Oh.
No. Hello and welcome to today's episode of So What's the Catch? Normally, we do our show live on All Sports Cleveland through northcoastunderground.com from the All Sports Cleveland studio at Ohio Media School. But given the conditions right now and the global pandemic or whatever word you want to use,
we're in health and safety protocols right now.
Yes, we're in health and safety protocols, so we've made some modifications. Hopefully, we'll be back in studio next week. That's the plan anyway. As of right now, we'll see if it comes to fruition or not. But
this is great for now. I'm happy to be here with you guys. It's kind of fun doing this from home. You know, I got my dog barking somewhere and got the TV on and all kinds of distractions, which I like. So,
you know what else is great about this is we don't have to worry about FCC regulations.
Yeah,
because we're on YouTube now.
That's true.
Whereas if we were doing,
we got to be careful to not get
deplatformed or demonetized. Yeah, we're making so much money on this thing right now. If we got demonetized, it'd be terrible.
Once we get, maybe when we get like to, I don't know, maybe like 500 subscribers, that would be the time.
Well, we're well on our way. I mean, for those of you who are with us, thank you for joining us. And Zach, good to have you on the show as well. Our newest member of the So What's the Catch team. We're happy to have you here. I think we wanted to start out, Josh, just by having a moment for John Madden for us to speak on his impact and his legacy. Because obviously with the news of his passing, that's the number one football story of the day, unfortunately. I'll start us off just personally. Growing up, I was born in 89. Mid 90s is when I really got into football, and the Madden franchise was taken off in the video game world. And he's just been an icon and a brand, and he's represented everything that's good and fun about football in my life for the last 30 years. So it's definitely a big bummer. This one hits close to home. He was awesome. I think with a minimum of 100 appearances, he has the highest winning percentage of any coach in the history of the NFL. So great coach, great guy, and great video game too. So yeah, that's basically what I wanted to say about it. How do you guys feel about the whole situation? What kind of impact did he have in your lives? I know you're a little younger, so it'll be interesting to hear.
Yeah, so I'm a little bit younger, as you said, but it still is impactful because I've played the Madden video games a little bit, not that much actually. That I know that might be a little bit surprising to you. So it doesn't quite impact me as much as when Stuart Scott and Craig Sager passed away. Those two really, really impacted me. Stuart Scott especially. And that's not to disrespect John Madden or his impact in any way, because John Madden is legendary. I totally get that. It's just for me, I felt like personally Stuart Scott and Craig Sager were a little more impactful.
For me, I don't know. This one affected me a lot because I was born. I'm about 25 years old right now, or I'm 25, and I don't know. I grew up on the games, and when I first heard football when I was 3 years old, it was Pat Summerall and John Madden, and I believe Randy Moss was playing during that time.
Yeah, you're just old enough to remember when he actually was calling games too, So yeah. So Josh, I get what you're saying.
The Pat Summerall one affected me as well as the John Madden because man, that's a GOAT announced team right there. Yeah, those two, man, they called a game and made it interesting. They had like an art to the game.
Yeah, I do remember. I did get to experience one John Madden Super Bowl call, which was Super Bowl 43 between the Steelers and Cardinals with that amazing Santonio Holmes catch to end it and win it for the Steelers. but that was like the only John Madden like broadcast I really got to hear. Maybe
not many people know this, but he broadcasted Brady's first Super Bowl.
That's right.
That's true. Yeah.
Him and Summerall.
The great thing about John Madden, in my opinion, is he made football accessible for like the average fan. Like a lot of people in my family aren't huge football fans, but when it's Thanksgiving or it's Christmas, you know, we have the TV on and we're watching football. And for those people in my family, John really broke the game down in a very simple way that was easy to understand. You know, he would take complex concepts from coaching and he would break them down in a way that was just so simple and easy to digest. And I think that's what was really awesome about him. And not a lot of guys have that way of like making things digestible that he always tried to do. And I really appreciated that about him too.
I believe he was 85 when he passed. And I don't know, like John, I want to say this right now. EA, make a better video game right now. I'm sorry. I know I grew up on Madden. Madden was my favorite game, and it was because of him, because it was his original concept. And then since we're off air here, they shat on the franchise later. And I just feel like we need a good game.
Yeah.
We need a game with care. Yeah. We need a game with love.
One of the things I remember about the early Madden games that were great is that it was actually Madden's voice, you know?
Yes, that too. And remember when you pressed Ask Madden and he gave you the wrong call every time?
That was hilarious. I love that.
But my point being is that
you do remember that?
Yeah, my point being is like if they could get some of that old audio that they had from like the early video games and like bring him back as the voice of the game, you know what I mean? Like with the technology we have now and the footage and all of like his commentary and breakdowns and stuff, like I think it'd be great if they made him the guy that was calling the games when you play Madden now, like it used to be in the old day.
Yeah,
I agree with you. But
I also wanted to say, remember his catchphrase, "Boom"?
Yeah.
Yeah, he had the boom was his thing before Bam was Emeril Lagasse's thing.
Or WAP. He always did that too.
So what are your thoughts on John Madden, Zach?
WAP.
You're muted, buddy.
You're muted.
Let's try this again. Technical difficulties. We can't hear you. Maybe try to unplug your headphones or something.
Yeah, we can't hear you.
You know if
Go ahead, Turk. While he's trying to figure out his audio stuff, it looks like he's having some audio issues, guys. But while he's doing that, what were you going to say, Turk?
Oh, is he on? No, I was about to ask, is Jeremy and
we're trying to get them in.
Yeah, they should be joining us later on in the show. Zach, say something to see if we can hear you.
You think AJ could make a comeback too? No.
Anyway, Zach, we still can't hear you, buddy. Maybe try to like unplug your headphones or try something different with the mic. But anyway,
or try it hopping on and back off. That's what I do if all else fails.
But Shirk, I think what you were saying, a lot of video game players.
Looks like he's back on.
Can we hear you now? Still nothing. Anyway, what I was saying is with the Madden thing, Shirk, I think what you're saying is what a lot of people have been expressing is that the game hasn't changed much over the years and that they kind of repackaged the same product and put it out year after year. So like,
yeah, I'm sorry. EA's gonna catch these hands.
They've gotten lazy with it. And Shirk, I think if one good
make
thing,
the game glitch, and then you just, I don't know, they make the game glitch. They don't care about a true game. All they care about is just microtransactions. It's the gaming world.
Right. So if one good thing can come from this, hopefully it'll inspire the creators over there at EA to put out a better product this year.
Man, right. He did not want to say anything about it. He was ashamed of the game. Did you know that?
I don't know that he doesn't.
He was ashamed of the game. He might have liked the paycheck, but other than that,
I don't know that I never heard that about him being ashamed of the game. If anything, I think that game really is what made him such a cultural icon, because a lot of people never would have known who
the current
a
direction.
lot of people don't know
That's
that
what
he
I'm
was
saying.
a head coach, and that he won a Super Bowl with the Raiders. Like, people don't know that about him. If
Yeah.
it wasn't for the video game, like guys like Josh who know that now, some of the younger people probably wouldn't know all of his greatness and all the things that he achieved.
Right.
So,
and again,
to his coaching ability, yeah, he won a Super Bowl.
right.
And again, I'm not trying to disrespect John Madden by any stretch of the imagination.
No,
All
I'm not either.
yeah. Sorry. All I'm saying is it didn't quite impact me as much as Stuart Scott and Craig Sager. That's all. But John Madden was very impactful, whether it's in the broadcasting industry, as you guys have alluded to, whether it was in the coaching realm, whatever.
Let's try this again.
There he is. We can hear your sultry voice for the first time. What's your take on John Madden? Let's give him the floor now that he can finally.
All right. So first of all, sorry about the audio issues, but now you all can hear my beautiful voice. And
yes.
So of course, John Madden was a very impactful person to me and to, of course, everyone from my generation because of the video game Madden. And I just want people to realize that he was much more than a video game. And I think that's a big thing that we have to kind of reiterate as we talk about his passing and moving forward with everything. I just think that he did so much more, whether it be coaching or broadcasting. And of course, his video game is really cool. I played it many times, many years, many games. And I love the game Madden, of course. But yeah, I just want him to be recognized for so much more than just a video game.
Yeah, Zach, I brought up the point that, like, with a minimum of 100 games as a head coach, he has the highest winning percentage in NFL history. Like, he's an NFL genius. Like, and I'm glad that you said that. Like, he deserves to be remembered for how great of a coach he was. And he's one of the only people who's been inducted into the Hall of Fame, which is right here in Canton, Ohio, as both a broadcaster and a coach. So, like, he's been recognized
long overdue in his induction.
Well, he's already been inducted.
He was inducted, I believe, in 2006.
Oh yeah, it was overdue by then. Yeah. Good point, Shirk.
And
my point being is that, like, he's been recognized for that in the past, but a lot of people are too young to have been around for those things. So yeah, I think that's important, Zach, is that we remember him for his greatness and not just being a pop culture icon.
Yeah, and one thing I want to just add, and it kind of goes against the point I made, is you don't get a video game with your last name on it that's like a global iconic video game unless you are great at what you do. And so, yes, I just said he's much more than a video game, but there's a reason he has a video game with his name on it, and it's because of how much of a football genius he was. And so that also should be recognized too.
Absolutely.
Do you think EA should improve that game, man?
Yes, they should improve it. And I saw on Twitter actually today something like they should do like a Legends game in honor of John Madden and his passing, and do something of that nature. And I think that would be really cool.
And Zach, did you happen to catch
bring back like maybe a story, like have a story mode like in the game? I think it would be one of the best Maddens in a while if they did that.
Yeah, that would be really cool.
Did you happen to catch anything I was saying about how the old Madden games were actually, like, when you played, they were called by Madden as you played? Like, a lot of people didn't play those early ones, and then so my idea for the game was, like, wouldn't it be sweet if they took all that old footage and, like, had him be the voice of Madden again? Actually have him be the guy doing the play-by-play when you're playing. I think that, like, that would be a really cool homage to, like, his passing, to, like, actually have him be the voice of the game again.
Yeah, I think that would be really cool, especially if they could line it up with the game itself and just how it looks to the person playing, so it doesn't seem like all messed up and weird with just different phrases that don't make sense. But yeah, if they can line it up correctly and do it in a positive nature, I think that would be awesome. And
yeah, that and then Church, like what?
Just another
make like a story mode of like Madden's games and like maybe make his best like what teams played against each other. Like you play throwback teams, like a lot old Lions game with Barry Sanders.
Yeah,
something like it. You know how 2K is doing that with like once they released the Jordan one in 2K 12.
Yeah, I remember that.
I like
they did the same thing with Madden.
That like the online challenges.
That would reboot Madden.
Yeah, I like the old.
And if they worked on the physics too, I'm sorry, but EA, you're not getting away with that one. You guys, the tackling is so bad in the game now.
Yeah, I think that
it's so bad.
It's a franchise that needs new life breathed into it, and I think that if anything,
I'm getting more emotional because of this passing.
Yeah, it's gonna be interesting to see what they do with the game for next year, because I definitely think that the focus is going to be all about John Madden again, which is important because he's the reason the franchise was as identifiable and popular as it was. Just like Zach was saying, it was his greatness that said, oh, well, there's a lot of football games out there, but only one of them has John Madden's name attached to it. You know, that's the one I'm going to play.
And get the cast from 2K5 with them. I don't think they are with 2K anymore, so you could get them and do a game.
Yeah.
Because I want a good quality game, if you remember that game.
So you want quality over quantity?
Of course. I want a good game. I mean, I'm okay with the microtransactions. I'm not against that. What I'm against is when it takes over the game and you don't have other options to do, like just play around, or like if you're really interested in like a big serious football fan, you could do something else besides just play that.
Gotcha.
Right.
So I think let's not turn this into a video game show entirely here. I think we've spent a little too much time maybe trying to remake Madden the football game.
On a positive note, that game did teach me so many plays. Sorry.
No,
Thank you, Madden.
No, it's a good point, because you know a lot of people learned football from playing that game. You know, a lot of young people, you know, that didn't play football physically, you know, played football virtually, and they learned, you know, they learned the plays, they learned the players, the coaches, the formations. They learned it because
catchphrases.
Yeah, all of it. You know, it's definitely a good education for people to learn football, like to actually play the game. It is a good way to learn. So yeah, it's a good point.
Yeah,
but we digress. I think we should get back to real football.
Well, rest in peace, Madden. I miss you so much, brother.
Yeah, rest in peace, John Madden. We wanted to take the beginning part of the show to honor him and talk about that, because
and them turduckets too.
What?
the Thanksgiving turduckens. That was funny.
Oh, okay.
You remember that, Brian?
Yeah, for sure.
All right. But now
and the EA truck, or not the Fox truck or whatever he was in.
All right, Chuck. But now we're going to talk about these guys.
The Browns.
Yes, the Browns are the Cleveland Browns. And
done.
Or I guess you could call them the big pile of dog doo-doo.
That's my one word of the week. Done.
Yeah. All right. It's One Word Wednesday. So my one word is over. The season is over.
Yeah, I actually, Josh, I like that a lot. I'm gonna agree with Josh. My word is also over.
Done.
I'm gonna say my word is disappointment.
I think that's definitely what we're all feeling. But yeah, I think Josh, obviously the two of us have made it clear how we feel about it. Zach, do you think that the Browns have a chance at getting into the playoffs?
I think that there is a chance that has been drawn out by people who are able to study the division and the various teams and whatnot. I think that the odds of the Browns actually making the playoffs are very slim, and I don't think that they are going to win both of these next 2 games.
And that's the key, because that's the one thing we have to do. Yep.
That's the beginning of it. And then there's a bunch more that's piling on afterward.
Right.
I don't think the Browns will actually win these next 2 games in and of itself. And without that, you can't even start to begin this playoff talk like everybody is saying.
Exactly. Pretty much the only path for the Browns to get into the playoffs is through winning the division. They're not jumping all the teams in front of them in the wild card.
They have to win the division and hope San Diego. It's all on San Diego.
You mean Los Angeles?
Los Angeles, yes.
We need the Rams to win. We need the Bengals to lose,
because the Raiders beat us in the tiebreaker thanks to the game we lost.
A few teams have a tiebreaker that are in the wild card hunt against us, so we don't have a chance in the wild card.
Tiebreaker over us. The Chiefs, not that the Chiefs really factor into it because they're the number one.
The Chargers don't though. So if we couldn't be better than the Chargers
have the tiebreaker. They beat us.
Yeah, they beat us.
Ah, damn it.
Yeah.
See what I mean? Yeah, none of those teams.
You gotta lose both games.
There's a path to the playoffs, but we have to win both games first and foremost, which I don't think we're gonna do.
If we get to the playoffs, are we out there?
I mean, I don't. Yeah, obviously, if most people don't think they're even gonna get there, then I'm assuming they think they would lose if they did.
Man, this team is so disappointed. It really needs. It kind of needs some. Go ahead, Brian.
You're right about that, though, Chirk, in that
this team needs some critiquing.
Oh, yeah, because, let's think about this.
Lay it the smack down, as The Rock would say.
Right. Think about this. How many opportunities has Baker had this season in the final 2 minutes of the game?
Too damn many.
Yeah, look at the season. Week 1 at Kansas City. Baker had the opportunity to lead us on a game-winning drive in the final 2 minutes. Failed. Week 4, week 5, whatever it was, at the Chargers. Once again, Baker had the opportunity to lead us on a game-winning drive in the final 2 minutes to potentially win that game. Failed. All right? Week 8 against the Steelers. Final 2 minutes. Baker had the opportunity to lead us on a drive and win the game. Failed. Week 12 against the Ravens. Yes, we were down by 6, but we still had an opportunity. Final 2 minutes. Failed. There are probably other games that I'm leaving out.
Green Bay. The most recent game. He was in position again and failed.
Green Bay. There you go. And for me, the Green Bay game wasn't quite as disappointing because after the Raiders game, I kind of just realized, okay, this season, like I said, as my one word, this season's over and the Cavaliers are doing well. So that tempered my disappointment and frustration, if you will. But still, this Green Bay game was the most frustrating of the other games that I mentioned because, Baker threw 4 interceptions. But think about this. We were getting 8 to 9 yards a carry throughout the game. And then in the final 2 minutes, when it's you need this game to keep your very slim playoff chances alive, you take the ball out of your best player's hands and put it in your most consistently inconsistent player's hands.
And how many interceptions do you have in that game?
4.
Technically 5, but what you got, Zach?
Well, I just want to say that going into this year, I thought, number 1, Baker was the guy, the franchise quarterback. Number 2, Stefanski was the coach. He was going to get us a JB Bickerstaff-like extension sometime because he was so good.
Mm-hmm.
And just the fact that this team was on a projected path to, they got to the playoffs in the previous year. and they were going to go to the Super Bowl or close to it. And I just think that this season, and you can make a million excuses for this team, but this season has been so disappointing. And just the fact that they are where they are is so frustrating. And I just feel like I've lost hope for Baker. I'm not entirely sure Stefanski is the guy anymore as head coach either. And because of those two things, I think the Browns have a lot of problems that they're going to have to address after this season. And even if they were, by some miracle, able to make the playoffs, like we were saying, do you really think they're going to win in the playoffs? Because I don't at all.
That's what I was saying. I mean, like, they're just they're going to lose the game. If they go to the second round, they got lucky.
I don't even think that they get past Pittsburgh. I mean, when you look at Big Ben's record on Monday night, he's never lost. I mean, he's obviously not the Big Ben that he once was, and the Steelers aren't the dominant Steelers that they once were. But this is still a good team that's going to be playing on Monday Night Football at home in a position where they've beat us time and time again. Right. So for everybody that's still like, oh, well, there's still a clear path to the playoffs, blah, blah, blah. It's like, man, you have to win those two games to even have a chance. And it's like, we should just be focusing on winning this one, because I don't think that this is a gimme by any means. And a lot of people are looking past Pittsburgh already. And that's just, it doesn't make sense to me.
And I think part of the reason people are looking past Pittsburgh is because of what Kansas City did to them last on Sunday. So last week, this week,
right?
However you want to say it.
But that was Kansas City with Patrick Mahomes. We are the Browns with Baker Mayfield.
Baker Mayfield is, and Kansas City did that without Travis Kelce.
Yeah.
But do the Browns have the equivalent of Kansas City's offense? Absolutely not. Baker Mayfield is not Patrick Mahomes. We don't have a Tyreek Hill. Yeah, we have the run game, which I think favors us more than Kansas City in this.
We have a better run game than Kansas City.
Yes. So that could help us. But like I said, we don't have a Tyreek Hill. We don't have a Byron Pringle. I think he's one of the more underrated receivers in the NFL. We don't have a McCole Hardman. We don't have the same
depth.
Heck, correct. We don't even have Kelly Holcomb.
But
I'm sorry to make that joke, but we would need him at this time.
But
you remember him, Brian?
Yeah, I think we all remember Kelly Holcomb. Just wondering where that fits into this conversation.
Yeah, I don't know. But
or Derek.
I don't know how much this actually affected the Raiders game or the Packers game, but I talked about this a little bit on my live stream yesterday. After the Week 12 game against the Ravens when we lost, where I tried using all of my superstitions and going all out with it, and we ended up losing, I decided, you know what? Screw it. I'm going in the complete opposite direction, and I haven't done any of my superstitions for any of the games.
Well, there it is, folks. That's the answer. That's why the Browns season has fell apart and the franchise is back in the dumpster. It's all because Josh is so selfish he didn't do any of the superstitions for us.
Well, it's because the Browns kept letting me down. I tried doing all my superstitions for the Kansas City game. I tried doing all my superstitions for the Pittsburgh game. I tried doing all my superstitions for the Ravens game. I tried various combinations of my superstitions for the other games on the Browns schedule.
You gotta stick to one.
And they kept letting me down. So I'm just like, okay, I'm not going to do my superstitions anymore.
Let me ask you guys this. Earlier in the season, I think we were all kind of on the same page that, like, this team's close, but Baker Mayfield is the limiting factor. I don't think it's just Baker anymore. That's my question to you guys. Do you think if we replace Baker with a better quarterback that all of this team's problems are solved?
No. I think a lot of it has to do with the receiving core.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of things that are questionable right now. Play calling's questionable. Joe Wood's defense has been questionable all year.
That's the biggest issue.
Special teams has been an absolute disaster. There are so many holes in this team right now. And yeah, Baker throwing 4
Injuries,
picks certainly didn't help
Landry.
the cause. But yeah, that my point being is that like we have a lot more to fix on this team than just Baker Mayfield, and that's problematic.
Landry should be in his prime right now, but I think his career is going to be shortened because of injuries.
And he's getting old too. He's on the wrong side of 30, and he's getting older. He's not capable of being, a 120 reception guy like he was in Miami when he was younger. He's a different player now.
Although I think with his play style, I think he can last a long time in the league.
Sure, yeah. I mean, he has a conservative play style in terms of like
I think
he doesn't
he could
put
play
himself
for
at
us
risk
till
a
his
lot.
30s,
Yeah.
to like his mid-30s.
Go ahead, Zach.
So I'll say this, and I think I may have said it on previous shows or whatnot. But for example, Myles Garrett, it's a name everyone in Cleveland knows, everyone in the NFL knows. And he's a great defensive end, very talented, but he's not, and I always like to say this, he's not a LeBron James. And it's players like Myles Garrett that are able to make an impact on the game, sure, but you can't necessarily dominate a game throughout its entirety. And so I think the closest thing to a player that can dominate the entire game is somebody like a Baker Mayfield, a quarterback gets the snaps and gets the ball in his hands for the majority of the game. And so we have to look at Baker Mayfield and say, is he the guy? And I think that is something that, like I said at the beginning of this year, everyone thought Baker was the guy, and he was going to lead.
I thought he was the guy.
I did.
I did too. I thought he was.
Now Baker has his people that will defend him to no end. He could throw like 20 interceptions in a game, and some people would still say, "Oh, this or that."
That's my quarterback. That's my guy.
Yeah. And I
was rocking with Baker
on the bandwagon anymore. So
I defended him for a long time this year, but I after a while I just couldn't justify, defending him in the ways that I was. It's just he's had enough time and enough opportunities to prove the people wrong that are doubting him, and he hasn't, But here's the problem, fellas, is what's a real alternative here? Because in the draft, there's no really good quarterbacks in this draft, with the exception of Pickett, and it's just not a very deep quarterback draft, and we don't have a high first round pick. So where do we find the answer?
And people are saying,
you take how about Jared Goff?
No, he's the worst quarterback in the NFL, probably.
I mean,
or how about Carson Wentz?
Stop.
Carson Wentz is a good pick.
But how are we going to get Carson Wentz? It's not realistic, though.
How are the Browns going to be able to say to Baker Mayfield, basically give him the middle finger and say, we're done with you, and sign a different player that's a veteran quarterback? Like, are they just going to
trade him for a third-round pick
and just say, we're done with you? Like, what do you guys think about that?
I don't think that they owe him anything.
They don't.
Your contract situation doesn't have him in Cleveland for a long time.
What do you
currently?
He's got 1 year left on his contract. Right. So, when it comes to the question, like, what do they do? How do they say their goodbyes? I don't think they really owe him anything.
If we re-sign Baker for a max extension, you'll hear the berserk come out on that.
If we re-sign him, he's not going to be getting the $40 million deal that a lot of quarterbacks are getting, like the Mahomes.
He hasn't earned it.
No,
I don't think there's a way. There's no way they could sign him for a max contract of like 4 or 5 years after this season. There's just no chance.
So maybe that's my question to you, Zach.
Maybe a 2-year $60 million or 3 years $60 million.
No, not.
We don't want him. We don't want him for another year. Period.
But here's my thing. Think about this. Before we got Baker, we had a lot of not good quarterbacks like Brandon Whedon, Jason Campbell, Jake Delhomme.
We get it. You don't got to name them all. We've had a lot.
It's a low bar.
It's a low bar. So in Baker's defense, he has brought us more success relatively than what we've gotten out of past.
I didn't, man.
Right, but that's not good enough. That's not good enough to win Super Bowls. Being relatively better than a terrible team is not good enough, you know? Just
I'm
because
not
you're
saying that it is.
Oh, well, never mind.
If anything, I would say the only thing that could be doable is maybe a franchise tag.
But
we don't want him. That's the point where we don't want him.
Would you take a franchise tag?
It doesn't matter what he would take and what he wouldn't take. We don't want him is the point. So what we're trying to get to is what's possible, what's out there for us.
Do you think he wants to play for Hugh Jackson?
People are saying like the Browns are interested in Deshaun Watson.
I don't think that's the answer either.
Is Deshaun Watson a good quarterback? Yes, I would take him. However, here's the big caveat. The media, but also we don't know what's going to happen with his whole legal situation. We don't know. Like, if
there's too many question marks. If we're going to make a move and we're going to make that big of a franchise change, we have to have 100% faith that the guy that we have is going to be there and be available.
Right.
And that's why I'm saying it's like, what's out there, you know? Because I don't think that Pickett's going to drop low enough for us to get him in the draft. So what's out there? Zach,
so Brian,
tell me something that's possible.
You make a really good point. And speaking of LeBron James, and I know I mentioned him in regards to Myles Garrett, going back to, and I know Josh loves to talk about the Cleveland Cavaliers, and so do I, of course. But going back,
kind of exposing themselves a little bit.
Going back to 2003, the Cavs knew that LeBron was their guy, and that they were going to take him, and he was going to lead them hopefully to the promised land. And we know the story and whatnot. But my point in saying that is this year's Browns team doesn't have that answer. There's no sparkling, shining guy that they can draft in the upcoming draft. And they're not going to be
Are you saying you, Brian?
I was trying to point to Zach, and I can't figure it out. There it is. No, that's my point. Yeah.
They're not going to get the number one pick, obviously. Nope. They're going to be, I don't know what, but it won't be like way low. And what's even out there? So that's the problem too, is that if you like, I always say I'm not a Baker guy anymore, but what is there and how would you even get it? And
I hate to say it, but I think the best thing for this team to do right now might be to make Baker play out his last year here. You know, and just say and hope that by next year there's a deeper draft and there's a guy that we can maybe get to.
If he has a good season, he's not full of me. If he has a good season, he's not full of me. He's just worth more.
Here's the thing,
you feel that, Brian?
Here's the thing. Even with our success last year, I didn't think that was because of Baker. I mean, yeah, he played well in that wild card game, but what really carried us to the playoffs, and I thought what allowed us to really take control of that Steelers game wasn't Baker. It was our run game.
And our defense.
Yeah, our defense to a certain degree, but for me, number one was the run game. And maybe it's a combination of what James has been saying of this team has gotten so predictable offensively and they haven't made any type of adjustments like I was suggesting, doing running back screens or, maybe not jet sweeps and getting all cutesy and whatnot, but, evolving the offense a little bit. But overall, it's just Baker has been, throughout his career, Baker has been consistently inconsistent. That's his biggest thing. Think about it. 2018, he comes into that Jets game as a result of Tyrod Taylor getting injured. He plays well that game. He plays well relatively well the rest of the season. 2019, we hire Freddie Kitchens as our head coach, which was a stupid move right off the bat. But, we go out, trade for Odell Beckham Jr. We make all these moves. We're on 4 or 5 primetime games.
We get like offensive line too on top of it, which is what we've been begging for decades.
Right. And people are heaping all these expectations on us, similar to this season where it's like, oh, the Browns are going to win the AFC North. The Browns are going to do this and this, and they're going to go to the AFC Championship game, whatnot. And what happened? We went 6-10, completely missed the playoffs. That's what the Browns are good at.
Get off progressive, Baker.
I have been saying that. And my dad yells at me about this. Whenever I see a Baker Mayfield progressive commercial, I say, get the hell off of my TV.
Man, it was I thought the Hugh Jackson Mr. Hero one was bad. No. This one's worse.
I thought Baker's commercials are actually good. I think they're funny. I think he's a great spokesperson for a company.
They're annoying.
I just don't think he's a good quarterback.
That's why I'm saying get the hell off my TV.
Thank you.
That's not why Baker's no good though. He's no good because he has physical limitations. It's not because he's filming commercials.
And I also want to point. Oh, you go ahead.
Real quick, I just wanted to say, obviously, it's not like the commercials are the reason, like Brian was saying, that Baker's bad or playing poorly. But it is frustrating when he throws 4 freaking interceptions and then you see a progressive commercial and you're like,
it's salt on the wound. Yeah,
Baker, he is a likable guy, just in general, and he seemed like a nice guy. And I know that it doesn't matter if you're nice or not when you're quarterback and your results are what really matter. But I just think that, and we've all heard the term quote unquote tanking in every sport, and this idea that teams purposely play bad in order to get better selections in the draft. But with the Browns, they're like in the opposite spot. They want to win, but they're not good enough, but they're not bad enough to be tanking either.
They're too good. Like they're too big to fail, kind of.
They're the Washington Wizards of the NFL.
They're like good, but not good enough, but not bad enough, and it's
they're not bad enough that they can tank because they're they'll win 5, 6, 7 games, but
And honestly,
I see your point.
They can make a first round and now exit in the playoffs. They're that type of style of team.
And honestly, Baker himself is not bad enough where everybody says, yeah, this guy is awful, but he's not good enough where everybody is like, this guy's amazing.
I agree with you there.
I just want to also reiterate this. If he turns out to be amazing and let's say next season gets a Pro Bowl.
Pro Bowls don't mean anything though, Jerk.
No, listen. If he gets a Pro Bowl and All Pro, I still would say Baker's not the right fit for us. Even if he's a superstar.
Okay. But Brian,
you feel the same way, Brian? I feel that.
No. I mean, if a guy's good, then he's the guy. If a guy's bad, then he's not the guy.
I think we just need our Phillip Rivers.
Okay.
So you want the Browns to give him that extra year moving forward? And
I don't think he deserves it.
Do you guys think that's going to happen?
Because I think it might happen out of necessity. I think it might happen because there's not. Yeah, I don't think the organization wants it, but I think they might be stuck with him for another year.
Will Baker throw another interception and then do a progressive commercial?
Right, probably. But Brian, my point was the point I was trying to make, Brian, is I know that the commercial, him being in the commercials, don't directly contribute to how he plays on the field. That's not what I'm trying to say. My point is, like, with how bad he's playing, in my opinion, he doesn't deserve to be in those commercials. Like, I know that's a bit of a strange connection, but for me, it makes sense. Like, I don't think Trevor Lawrence, for example, should be doing The Subway
it's like they're killing their careers before they start.
Yeah, I don't know.
You got to earn that commercial. Exactly. You got to earn it.
But he
I'm
kind
sorry.
of did.
I agree with Josh.
He got the team to the playoffs. That's why they started doing
RG3, look at him. He made a bunch of Subway commercials.
But that's not what advertising's about. Advertising's about making money, and that's it. It's not about somebody being good or bad. Like,
true.
It's just not. It's not.
They're
really
just making their money. All right.
Anyway.
Yeah. Never mind. I changed that 180.
They don't care. No, they don't care. If a guy makes them money, that's all they care about. They don't care if Baker goes 0-16. If people like him and he's a likable guy, and people will buy their products because they like Baker, then that's the goal. I don't think they really care what he does on the field. He is a good representative of the city. He's a good representative of the franchise. Like I think as a man and as a leader, he does and says the right things. But as an athlete and a performer, I don't think that he's good enough.
I agree. So I want to give like a little bit of almost like a speech, and then I want to hear your guys' thoughts.
Go ahead.
So I feel like the Browns are in a spot right now where they're going to finish this year. They're going to lose one of the two games, and everyone's going to be disappointed. They don't make the playoffs. And then I feel that in the next 3 to 5 years, the Browns are going to go downhill from where they are currently, and they're going to get worse and worse and worse. And I hate to say that, obviously.
Or they stay stagnant.
True. Yeah. As a Browns fan,
like first round exit in the playoffs.
Right. Just not like Super Bowl caliber or anything like that. As a Browns fan, obviously I want them to win the Super Bowl every year. Like, of course. But I just feel like the way this team is comprised right now of players that are good but not great, and we have the quarterback situation, and I can't see them climbing and getting better and better and better. I think they're just going to get a little bit worse. Or like Chuck just said, stagnant, just okay, average team for the next.
Their goal could be the AFC team, maybe.
They have to make a lot of changes.
So what are your thoughts on that?
By luck. Like, remember the Jaguars when they had Jalen Ramsey and all that? Let's say, for example, next year our defense is fantastic, because I could see it coming together. I really see that defense coming together.
With the right coach and people staying healthy. Yeah.
So if you were to fix that defense and their chemistry, I could see this team making a surprise AFC championship, but nothing further than that. And that would be with everything going right. I still wouldn't even say Super Bowl. I would say that championship, and we might think Super Bowl for a little bit, for a while, and be super excited, but I feel like they would disappoint because of Baker.
I mean, again, for us to for us to even win the division this year, we would need to beat Pittsburgh on Monday, and then we would need to beat Cincinnati the following week. We would need the Bengals to lose to the Chiefs this week.
Ravens to lose to the Rams.
And either for the Ravens to lose to the Rams this week, or have the Ravens lose to the Steelers next week. If all of that happens, then the Browns can win the division. That's a lot of dominoes that need to fall in our direction.
Yeah. It's probably not going to happen.
It's like 07 with the Jaguars.
So many opportunities, though, this entire season where it didn't need to come to that.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Like Josh was saying, there were so many games that they were so close, and Baker blew it, and then the team blew it, and they just weren't good enough. And this is why they're in that situation where it takes so much for them to even make the playoffs.
Yep.
Right.
I agree.
I think they're stuck. They're like caught on a treadmill where they're going at the same speed. It doesn't feel like they're actually going anywhere. They're like you don't want to be in that middle ground, if you will, where you're not quite great. So you're not a Kansas City, you're not a Buffalo, but you're also not the New York Jets. You're not the Jacksonville Jaguars. You're not the Detroit Lions. no disrespect to those teams, but they're bad. Just being frank with you. They're somewhere in that middle ground with like a Miami, an Indianapolis, other teams that you could think of. Those were just the two that came to mind.
Yeah, and the problem is too, if we do want to move forward from Baker, and that's going to be done through a trade, we're not going to get anything for Baker. We're going to have to it's going to be a lot of assets that we're going to have to attach to it. We're going to have to attach draft picks. We're going to have to, attach other valuable players.
I would attach
when
Landry.
you look at it that way, it's like it's addition by subtraction. You're hemorrhaging some of your future to get a guy to bring him in, and even if you do it through the draft this year, I think we all agree there's only one guy in the draft that would be worth going for is Pickett. And if you're going to go for him, you have to trade up to get him because he's not going to fall to where we are now. He's not going to fall.
There are actually two quarterbacks.
So either way, we're going to have to give up a lot to upgrade at the quarterback position is my point. And that's not it's bad because we have a lot of other holes in this squad too. So it's like, that's why I think we end up being stuck with Baker because they don't want to make these sacrifices for the future to get a guy that they're not confident is going to be the one. And I don't think that they feel that way about Pickett. And I don't know that there's a quarterback out there that we can reasonably trade for that they feel that way about either.
Right.
And as far as the running game goes, do not do anything to it. Maybe
get rid of Kareem Hunt.
Maybe him. Yeah.
But actually, Brian, I said this while you were talking, but I think there are actually two viable quarterbacks in this draft. Kenny Pickett, the quarterback from Pitt, and then Desmond Ridder, the Cincinnati quarterback. But other than that, no, there's nobody else.
Maybe a guy like Malik Jackson, Liberty's quarterback. There's some project guys there that have potential to be stars, but there's no guy that's a Joe Burrow. There's no guy that you're like, oh, that's the best. It's just not there. So it's like, I see this team being stuck with Baker for another year, as much as I hate to say it. I just don't know where the guy's going to come from. And I mean, I like James's suggestion of putting a package together for Derek Carr. I think that's an improvement, but at the same time, how much are we going to have to give up and how much worse are we going to get better, And it's like, I don't think Carr's good enough to overcome what we'll have to sacrifice to get him. You know what I mean? So it's like, I don't know. I don't feel very optimistic. So Zach, when you ask that question, I feel the same way you do. It feels like we're in a position now where we're going to start trending the other direction again. And it doesn't feel good. Some changes need to be made within this organization to inspire some confidence again.
So you think the contention window for the Browns has already closed?
I think it's open right now. It's open right now. It'll be open at the start of next year, but I don't think that there's a guy that you can plug in during that window. This is my point. And by the time a guy gets to us in the draft, it's like we're already going to be a 3-14 team, and it's like then you're starting from scratch again. So it's just a bad situation.
Zach, you said something earlier that piqued my interest a little bit and made me raise an eyebrow, which is, like, you don't think Stefanski is necessarily the guy. What made you say that?
Well, his play calling in past weeks has not been good. And I think he carries himself well. I think he has a good demeanor. I think he speaks well to the media. And I think it also a factor is that he's handsome, sharp-looking guy. He talks well to the press, and that people listen to him, and that's why he gets more of a pass than, say, Kevin Stefanski per se.
Mm-hmm.
And no, I'm not in love with. I'm not in love. I said Kevin Stefanski. I meant Freddie Kitchens. That's what I meant to say.
Gotcha.
No, I'm not in love with Kevin Stefanski, but I just think that those attributes make him more of a coach that gets more of a pass than
I agree.
a Freddie Kitchens, which I was
Dissect the coach of the year for me. Now
he is the reigning coach of the year. Chirk's got a point.
Mm-hmm.
And that's
how do you feel about
look
that?
Look at how the team has been this year, and you just kind of have to wonder: is he? I'm not saying fire him right now, like Urban Meyer per se, but
you asked a good question earlier. It was how much of this is analytics? How much of this is coming from above him? You know what I mean? It's like how much say is he really getting in the play calling and the strategy?
True.
So you know, if they really are all in on analytics, then it's like, you know, he's really just a figurehead at this point.
I think maybe at the first half they give Stefanski his freedom.
Yeah,
I'm not saying like I just said. I'm not saying fire Kevin Stefanski. What I am saying is maybe just take a look at him and say, is he the guy? Is he doing what we need? And what can we do if he's not doing what we need to make him a better coach, and go from there? And then work 100%. In the coming years to build on that. And then in the coming years, if we start to suck, then you fire him, you find a new coach, et cetera, et cetera.
Yeah, I agree. The play calling and stuff has been suspect at best lately. And at the end of the day, that comes down to him. Man, you know,
it's Kitchens-esque.
It's got to go by him. You know, at the end of the day, even if the play calling's coming from above, he's got to be the one to put it forward. And it was questionable. You know,
well, okay. So here's a question for the group. Let's say someone from like a higher up gives a play call and it runs through Stefanski. Is he able to say, yo, this play call is so stupid, let's do X, Y, Z?
That's
or
what my question is.
Does he have to roll with it? And that's
the job of Baker.
That's a question I want.
Yeah, I agree, Zach. That's kind of when I said how much of this is Stefanski's doing. I wonder if he has that veto power myself. Like, does he have the power to say, you know what, in this scenario, I think it'd be better if we run it, you know, or is he like, you know what, that's not my job. My job's just to do what they tell me to do. You know, it's
right.
I don't know. Unless you're within that organization, those are questions that are very hard to answer.
Man, we need another we need another Hard Knocks, because it showed Hugh Jackson he was definitely for the, like, remember that, how it exposed him?
The Browns are
he was just bad. I think he's just bad.
The Browns are going to get put back on Hard Knocks for a while, Chirk. But sorry about that. I had to take care of some personal stuff. But I did hear what you guys were talking about. And I think you might be onto something, that maybe the analytics has infected, I can't think of a better word, this team a little too much.
Stats lie.
But here's my question. Normally it is the head coach that calls offensive plays, which makes me wonder something. Why is it that you even hire an offensive coordinator if he's not the one calling plays? What's the point? I think there's no point to it.
I don't think so either.
Well, I would just say that it's kind of like a confidant of sort, maybe like a person that can bounce ideas off of you and help you, but not necessarily like the end all be all.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, I got you. I don't know. It's weird. Like, I've never understood the point of that. If your head coach is the one calling plays, why have the offensive coordinator? I've never understood that.
Well, I would just say that why have any of the coordinators? You know what I mean? Josh?
Yeah, I got you.
Like defensive coordinator, special teams coordinator, they all serve a purpose in some way, obviously. And then you have your head coach that's supposed to be the overseer. But what I was saying is, isn't the head coach like the end all be all, and he says what it is and what it's going to be, and that's it? And it's not other people that get to make the final decisions. That's what I wonder with the Browns.
Mm-hmm. I think that's a legitimate question.
It is.
Yeah. Sorry, guys, about the bathroom break. We usually have commercials where we could squeeze these things in, but when we go live, we don't have any of the bumpers in between.
Yeah.
So
we'll be back. We'll hopefully be back in studio, and the show will look and sound a little more normal, if you will.
Right.
We should keep the StreamYard though.
Yeah, we should. I like doing this.
Yeah, me too.
I like doing this besides the other way.
But I want to zoom out of the Browns and just go to big picture NFL stuff, if that's all right with you guys.
Sure.
So I talked about this a little bit on my live stream that I did last night. I think this is the second time that I think the NFL has dropped the ball when it comes to Sunday Night Football and the Cincinnati Bengals. Because I think they dropped the ball when it came to the Chargers-Bengals matchup in week 12 or whatever it was. Because I would much prefer to have seen Herbert against Joe Burrow over the Broncos and the Chiefs. And then this week, you have Patrick Mahomes, Travis Kelce, Tyreek Hill, and all the other Kansas City Chiefs weapons that they have offensively going against Joe Burrow, T. Higgins, Jamar Chase, Joe Mixon, Uzama, and a good Bengals offense. And there's so many playoff implications on the line. Kansas City's trying to lock up the number one seed in the AFC right now. They're trying to stay there. They've won 8 games in a row. The Bengals, meanwhile, are currently the number 3 seed. They're trying to win the division and prevent possibly a winner-takes-all showdown in Cleveland next week. That seems, to me at least, that's more exciting than Vikings-Packers.
I just don't care. It's like they play at 1 or they play at 4 or they play at 8. I don't care. It doesn't make a difference to me.
Me neither.
Okay.
I don't think
Browns game.
I don't know. I get what you're saying, but there's always an argument to be made for another game to be flexed into a position of what have you. I'm not interested by it. It's like it's the same game whether they play it at 1 or they play it at 8. I don't know. I don't think it's all that important.
It's the same energy.
Yeah.
From a television perspective, it's not always about the best matchup too. It's about demographics and getting eyes on it, and sometimes even though it's not the best matchup, there's players that other guys, that people want to see.
Like Aaron Rodgers.
Right. And that's why, sometimes you get left with like, oh, well, yeah, this might be a better game for the night. I get what you're saying. I just personally, as a fan, it's like, I don't think it's that important what's on during the afternoon and what's on at night.
Yeah, I agree with you, Brian. And I'll just say this. I understand, Josh, your point, but at the same time, okay, so you're going to have your football fans that watch the game no matter who's playing, number one. Then you're going to have your fans of their fantasy football players that are going to watch the game no matter what. And aside from that, it really is not that big of a deal. I think you may see a bit of a dip in viewership if you were to have a matchup that was less enticing. But at the same time, I just don't think that it's really – I think you're going to have your fans and you're going to have your non-fans, and that's it.
Right,
okay.
Right.
I know I just went off on a bit of a tangent. Hey, look who's in.
Finally.
Hey.
There he is.
Welcome. Oh, I had to go to lunch. I had to have myself some beverages.
Good for you.
James.
Oh, beverages.
Real quick, James, how do you feel about what just happened?
I have no idea what the hell you're talking about. I've been here for 30 seconds.
Yeah.
Rest in peace. No, Madden passed.
Oh, John Madden? Geez. Huge influential person in my life. I remember him as a broadcaster, of course, video games. But part of the reason that I have a love for football, love for sports, love for just the overall part of broadcasting, breaking down the game is because of John Madden. I probably wouldn't have the same passion for sports if John Madden didn't do what he did.
Him and Pat Summerall, baby. Man, that was the GOAT commentary team.
But yeah, we were just talking about
the Turduckets.
Welcome aboard, James. It's good to have you.
Pressing Ask Madden and he gives you a bad play.
James, you know what?
The Ask Madden button's the worst button of all time. If you want to lose, you press the Ask Madden button. I remember one time I was playing and I pressed Ask Madden because I'm like, I don't know what to run. So I just pressed Ask Madden because you just don't know what to do. And instead of let's run it up the gut or let's hit it with the play action pass, you're just like, let's give this a go. I'm like, what is this call? I've never heard this before.
Or on defense, too.
I think Pete Carroll hit Ask Madden when he decided to have Russell Wilson throw that pass instead of handing it to Marshawn.
Yes, he did. But
there's a longer story to that whole thing, and I recommend if you haven't read the book Gridiron Genius by Michael Lombardi, reading it because he breaks down how Bill Belichick and the Patriots essentially, I don't want to say trick them into running that play or passing the ball in that play, but they got them into the position where they thought passing the ball was the right position, and it wasn't, obviously. So if you read that book, he breaks it down very well on how the Patriots essentially said, hey, pass it, it's a great idea, but it's not.
He's a great football mind, too. Michael Lombardi's awesome. So, yeah, I'd be interested to read that for sure.
I never thought I would meet a real-life Super Mario brother, but then you came along, James.
But yeah, anyways, yeah, I know we've been talking Madden a lot in this thing, but it was a big disappointment. It was like one of the biggest. I don't know. This one really hurt.
I mean, you knew it was going to come. You knew he was old, but you're still not ready for it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I was not ready for this one. It was like a big. It was like my childhood right there.
Mm-hmm.
That was my childhood. Not only just doing the video game, but him announcing. I know he was a coach, and I even read some of his books about when he was a coach when I was younger.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he's one of the like when you think football in America, he's one of the first people you think of. Like he's that big of a deal, you know. So yeah, it's a huge bummer. But so you missed out on that. We all shared our Madden thoughts. You missed out on us all burying the Browns. Talked about how they're dead.
You missed
talked
us
about how Baker sucks. You would have liked that conversation.
You missed us trying to get EA to make a better game too, in the legacy of Madden.
I mean, here's what I'll say about Madden. This is a no-brainer. They can knock this out of the park next year. It's very easy. Madden on the cover for the next Madden cover. John Madden on the cover.
Have some Madden moments. Maybe you remember how they had Jordan in 2K11?
Hold on.
They got to do something like that.
Well, hold on. Madden on the cover. That obviously the very triumphant picture of him getting lifted up in black and white when they won the Super Bowl. That should be the cover. Number one. Number two, they should remaster all of the audio from the previous Madden games and put it in the current new version of the game.
I said that on the first half of the show.
All of the classic moments from when you were younger. Because let me tell you, I would absolutely love that. Mm-hmm. They actually are in a position where they actually could take audio. Of course, they'd have to talk to the NFL broadcasters, but from him actually calling actual games, also put that in there so it sounds like he's actually calling the game that you're playing live. Have some of the greatest games that he coached as the Raiders coach as playable moments.
Yeah.
Fantastic.
And some of his commentating games, like NFL Thanksgiving.
Commentating games is okay, but from the year and a half the commentator stuff, you want to play as the Raiders, play as John Madden as your coach.
Yeah.
That would be awesome to see him strut the sidelines and those giant sideburns. That'd be awesome. Okay.
Yeah.
I agree, though. I was arguing for that, too. You got to make him the voice of the game again. He's got to be the one when you're playing. I think every Madden feature should be on the table right now.
Yeah, and I think they should bring back the coin toss. Sorry, I'm getting a little ahead of myself on this. Because Madden really does suck.
So you missed that, and then to get you up to speed, we were talking Browns and how the Baker situation's dire, the Browns situation's dire. What's the answer moving forward at quarterback? What do you have for us?
Rest in peace, Madden, by the way.
the answer for the quarterback position for the Browns isn't easy. Okay, it's not one where you can just be like, "Yep, this is the way to go." There's a lot of just things you got to unfold, and it's a lot of identifying what's not the answer.
Okay, Andrew Luck. I just found it coming out of retirement. Andrew Luck on the Browns. I got it. We finally got the answer.
Okay.
I have no words for you right now, Chirk. I have no words.
So here's what I'll tell you.
No words for that one?
Answer. There is not an easy answer. Okay. But you can identify what's not the answer. I think that's where you have to start. Instead of being like, what is the actual answer? What do we have to go identify with what is not the actual answer? And I think you start off with Baker Mayfield is not the answer. Okay. Case Keenum is not the answer. Then you look at the trade guys. Okay. Aaron Rodgers, Russell Wilson, they both have no trade clauses. Not going to come here. So does Deshaun Watson. Not going to come here. So you have to, we're already peeling back a whole bunch of guys. So you have to identify, okay, who's a possibility? Derek Carr is a possibility. A draft pick is a possibility. And you look at some of those other guys who are probably going to be in that same range of average. And they're not necessarily exciting, but you really got to ask yourself, are you looking to be competitive next year? Or are you looking to try and do something long-term? Because those are two different discussions.
Tell me what the thoughts on the Andrew Luck idea, though, is.
That's terrible.
Explain.
No, don't do it.
I really want to hear your explanation on this because he hasn't been in the league for like 3 or 4 years.
That's why.
He's done.
He's not.
If Andrew Luck was a real possibility, the Colts would have called him this week, okay?
Yeah, they wouldn't. There's absolutely no chance in hell that he would. Just no.
Man, you guys are so close-minded about that.
Can I
close-minded? It's just an impossible scenario.
All right, what you got, Zach?
And I know we've talked a lot about Madden, and my question is, let's say EA says, you know what, with the passing of Madden, we're going to retire this video game with his name on it. Would you be cool with that? And would you be okay with them making a new football game with a different name and a different concept completely, and just saying Madden had its run, and now that he's gone, we're just going to say it was a great game and here's a time for a new one? Not saying I want that, just a question.
I see you, Keyshawn.
It's an interesting thought, how do they market the game going forward, now that he has passed? But I think that what James said, I think this year you got to honor him. You got to honor him in a big way. So if that is part of the plans in the future, I personally hope not. I think that you could still use the likeness and image of John Madden, and he's a big enough figure that'll sustain, But I mean, it's a legitimate question. How do they want to market the game going forward? I hope that they choose to keep him around for at least the next year.
2K football, James.
So here's a thought. Do you think that EA ever was in talks with John Madden, kind of like an insurance type of idea where they were like, hey, there's going to be a time where you unfortunately, pass away. We all have to face that. What do you want us to do with your likeness in this game when you're gone? And I just wonder if they asked him that, and what if they did what he said, and what that is moving forward. So that's all. I was just curious.
There's probably a written agreement that they have that we don't have the knowledge of. Okay, in regards to that. But as far as rebranding the video game, if you want that video game franchise to not be relevant anymore, that's exactly what you do. Because who remembers when they discontinued Tiger Woods' PGA Tour, then brought it back without Tiger Woods' name on it, and has not been really relevant since. It's been terrible. It's terrible. When's the last time they came out the game? I don't even know.
Rory McIlroy. That's the last one that EA put out a golf game.
It's terrible. You can't rebrand something like that.
Right.
I never even played it.
What?
Yeah.
Tiger Woods?
I never played Tiger
Woods. You're missing out, man. That's one of the greatest sports games of all time.
That game was awesome. Let me tell you, I think it was like 07 with that. That was the soundtrack. Got, a big boy. I like the way you move on it. Fantastic.
What about those old NBA Lives, too?
NBA Lives were always terrible, jerk.
Wait, even like back then?
It's the worst basketball franchise that ever existed.
Jerk.
In a world where NBA Street existed, okay?
NBA 2K is way better.
And that is filled with a ton of bugs and problems, okay?
I think that's a more real possibility, I bet, Zach, is that somebody steps in as a competitor, and says, like, this is the good time for like a 2K. Like, hey, NFL 2K,
we get the
that could try
the
to step
animation
in
of silence and like
the point with
oxygen
NBA Live that's different is it's not a likeness.
Right. There's no one's name attached to
like Tiger Woods or John Madden. So because of that, it's different. So that's why I was curious what they might do in the future.
Wait a minute. When did this become a video game show?
Since we started.
Since
we started
John
on
Madden, unfortunately, passed away. That's when.
Rest
Wait,
in peace.
James, you never used your one word for the Packers game.
Interception.
No, that's 4 words.
Times 4, yeah.
How do you guys feel about the Cavs right now?
Cavs are good, but they're in a rough spot. Cavs are good, but they're in a rough spot. Darius Garland, COVID protocols, Ricky Rubio, gross injury last night. I don't know if there's been an update yet. I haven't been able to check. But early reports from Twitter doctors were an ACL injury. So
I know he's getting an MRI today, or probably already got one.
Yeah.
But
we might need Sexton.
That'll tell a lot.
With no guards, they have no guards right now, so that's a big problem.
Yeah,
that's a huge
I don't
problem.
know what they're going to do. I mean, Kevin Pangos shouldn't be playing. Okay, let's be real. Okay, Malik Newman shouldn't be playing. Okay,
who shouldn't?
Malik Newman. Okay, they signed him to a 10-day hardship exemption deal. Okay,
We also got Justin Anderson.
He also shouldn't be playing. Unfortunately, they're a team that did not have a lot of guard depth, and they suffered injuries and a COVID issue with all of their relevant guards, and that sucks.
Yeah, they're in a bad spot right now.
You think the playoffs hopes are gone?
No, I'm not going to say that right now, but if Rubio's out for an extended period of time or the season, then yeah, they're in trouble because
he was having a career year
last night with point guard Isaac Okoro and Kevin Pangos. It was terrible.
Bad. Real bad. They blew a huge lead. They should have won that game 100%.
Look, I would argue I'm the biggest Cavs fan of the group. Maybe Church can dispute that, but either way, I'm worried about this team right now. I'm not going to lie to you because we don't have a legit point guard right now. Garland's out for the next 3 or 4 games, however long, because of COVID protocols.
What's the best case scenario for Ricky?
Rubio's done for the year, most likely. I'm not trying to be a YouTube doctor.
That stinks too, because we could have used him as trade bait too.
Oh, stop it!
That's true. Though. I'm sorry, that's true. He was a trade chip if they had to use him.
He was having a career year. He was never going to be more valuable than he would have been for us.
So I'll say this. I could see comparing the Cavs to the Browns in that same sort of purgatory type place where they're kind of good but kind of bad and have some problems but some shining moments. And I love the Cavs. I think they're good, but I don't think they're championship contenders. No.
Oh, I do think they can make a 10th seed. Even with all the bad things happening to them, I think they can still make a 10th seed.
Possibly, yes, but not to the point where they could make their way through the playoffs or whatnot.
No. Even though I'm a Cavs fan and I'm going to support them through thick and thin.
You are a huge Cavs fan.
Yes. They are my favorite. Even though my background is all Cleveland Browns and that's what my YouTube channel primarily is, I'm a diehard Cavaliers fan. I would even say, no, I know this. They are my favorite team in all sports, bar none. I've shown my true colors on that. But I know I have to temper my expectations for them a little bit now. Because after the start they got off to, I raised my expectations for them. And I said they could make a top 5 seed. Maybe I was a little bit crazy to say that, but that's how they were playing. And I still think they can get to the 30-win mark that I set for them. I think that's very feasible. But top 5 seed, no. Do I still think they can get to the playoffs? Even if that means play-in tournament? Yeah. But here's the thing. People are saying the Cavs are one of the teams heavily involved in possibly trading for Ben Simmons. No.
Okay.
And no.
Okay, as one of the more adamant anti-Ben Simmons people, here's what I'll tell you. If Ricky Rubio is out for the year, trading for Ben Simmons now makes more sense than it ever did. Okay, and here is why. It's more about a long-term building of the team. Okay,
I'll give you that.
You sacrifice short-term for the long-term. Okay, because you would have him under contract for 4 more years. Yeah, it's expensive, but that's how the NBA goes. But at some point, you need to identify you need another star player. Okay, we saw that last night. They did not have enough to put away a very bad Pelicans team.
Yeah, that was a bad performance last night.
We needed Taco.
Taco would not have helped. Okay.
Taco would have just stood there and done nothing.
Brian, defend me on this. When he had those 4 points, he was unstoppable.
Play last night, jerk. There's a reason. So I'll say that right now there's a better argument for trading for Ben Simmons than there was prior to the season. Okay.
Sure, I'll give you that one.
Who would we trade, though?
Part of that is because Ricky Rubio may be out for the year. And another reason, you got to look at it from the long-term perspective.
Who would we trade?
I don't know, Laurie Markkinen, Colin Sexton, and a draft pick.
Yeah.
And Kevin Love.
Here's what really scares me about Ben Simmons, though. Yeah, he can play defense.
He can pass.
I'll give him that, but he's so afraid to shoot.
Or even go to the rim. He's afraid of doing that one, too.
Okay, so here's what you do.
Attacking the basket.
Trading for Ben Simmons isn't the first and only move. That's one of multiple moves you make. Okay, you trade other players to get other shooters to supply on this team. You look at this team; they don't have depth. We saw that last night. There's no depth on this roster.
We should keep Garland though.
Keep Garland. You keep
Allen.
Keep Mobley.
Allen and Garland are untouchable.
You keep Garland. You keep Mobley. You keep Allen. You keep those 3. They are building a core.
And I'll keep Chetty Osman on the bench.
Chetty Osman can go. Okay, trade Chetty Osman. Okay.
Can we trade Chetty Osman to Indiana for Karis
LeVert? I love how quickly you just said that. As soon as
they would never take Chetty Osman for Karis LeVert. You'd have to attach 4 first-round picks to him to get Karis LeVert, and they would still say no. Okay. That's how little value Chetty Osman has. But they need to get more shooters. Okay.
We need Denzel Valentine.
A complete failure of a draft pick. Okay. Completely useless. They cannot keep continuing with him being on this roster. He is not going to be a key piece of this team moving forward. You look at some of the other guys on this team. Isaac Okoro, sure, he had a little hot 4-game run. He's not the answer either.
How about Dean Wade?
He's a bench player. Okay.
All right. So I'm just gonna say it. I'm gonna say the L word. LeBron James.
No.
Feelings. No. Is it a possibility? Could it happen?
I want a built, organic, ground-up team.
Well, I got news for you, Chirk. That doesn't win.
That's right. It doesn't.
It doesn't win.
NBA is
as soon as LeBron comes, all that growth stunted. As soon as he comes on there,
he's still amazing though.
If you think LeBron doesn't make this team better, you're high.
Right.
He makes the team better. I'm not saying he doesn't. I'm saying he stunts a lot of development of players.
Well, let's start here. He went to Miami, won 2 titles. He came back to Cleveland, won a title. Went to LA, won a title. That's the end game here, right? Winning titles, right? I mean,
he's always made everybody around him better. I don't think he's ever.
Why wouldn't you want LeBron on the team? I don't understand that.
Yeah.
Here's why I would be a little bit opposed to LeBron, and it's not because of harsh feelings for leaving for Miami, but no, I'm saying that's not part of my reason. Okay. My reasoning is because if you look at how this team is right now, we're a young, like fast-moving team. We want to get up and down the court, up and down, up and down. Whereas LeBron's in his 19th, soon to be 20th year in the NBA, he's not going to want to do that. He's going to want to slow the ball down, play in the half court, and all that. I just don't, from what I've seen of this Cavs team so far this season, I just don't know if that's a good pairing.
All right, well, let me just say that in regards to LeBron, just in general, okay, so when he left for Miami, the way that Cleveland treated him was absolutely terrible. And I mean, we had a right to do that, but the reason I say that is because he came home even after his hometown was like terrible to him. And I respect that. And then especially because of the fact that he won a championship here too. And I think that, you know, the time kind of expired for LeBron in Cleveland after winning, and he went and he left again, and that's fine. So my thinking is I respect LeBron for what he did in winning, and I think that he could come back and win again, like we were saying.
Okay, so Josh, I'm about to shoot holes into your entire argument here.
Okay.
If you had to guess where the Cavaliers rank in pace among every other NBA team, where would you think they rank?
Right now?
Currently, pace. 1 to 30.
15th.
I'll go probably around 13.
Everyone else?
Middle of the road.
Yeah, 15.
The Lakers are.
Ahead of us. They play a little quicker than we do, I bet.
I bet the Lakers are near the bottom.
Okay, the Cleveland Cavaliers are 22nd in pace. The Los Angeles Lakers are 5th.
Oh!
Hey, we slow the pace down. That's what's so unique about us, baby.
Whoa.
We slow that pace down. So it's perfect for LeBron.
Okay, so your argument of being quick, I just shot that down out of the sky. Okay.
I'm just saying based on my observations for
numbers.
He's the best player in the history of the organization, and he's still playing at a very, very high level. He's playing at a very high level right now. I think you absolutely, if there's any way, if he's interested, if there's any way, as long as you're not, you know, because LeBron's not going to want to come if we hemorrhage too much, and he's not going to win here. He's only going to come here if he knows that we can win. So if you have a way that you could bring him in here, you bring him in here by any means possible.
Right. That's the thing with LeBron. That's why he left Cleveland initially, because he saw that he couldn't win. After he won the 2 titles with Miami, he left Miami because he didn't see a scenario where they could keep winning with a deteriorating Dwayne Wade, whatnot. He comes back to Cleveland, wins a title, and then he sees, okay, the Cavs aren't going to be a winning situation anymore. Packs it up and leaves. Now he's with the Lakers, and I think he's starting to see that same type of thing. Like, oh, the Lakers aren't going to be winning anymore. So my guess is he will pack up and leave. Would I take him back? Absolutely. I'm not saying I would not. Because, again, 100% I would. I'm just...
So what are you saying then?
Yeah. What do you mean then?
I'm just not sure it would be a great fit. That's all.
Can I just say, as a fan, as a Cavs fan, wouldn't it be fun to have LeBron on the team again and just to watch him as a fan? Just saying.
Yes.
Like, regardless of the fit or the pace or the this or the that, just LeBron James in Cleveland, Cavs uniform, back at it again, third time. I think
How about Kyrie back too?
It makes our job a lot more fun when
Kyrie
you
and Kyrie back and Kevin Love back.
Kyrie, I do not want him. He is too much of a drama queen.
Who is?
Kyrie.
They're all drama queens, about man.
Okay.
Yeah, he's one of the biggest drama queens. Who cares? They're all drama queens. They're professional athletes.
Right.
that's the reality of the situation.
Yeah.
Ego's going to come into it.
I mean, honestly, this entire conversation is pretty much maybe even a waste of time because he's just going to go wherever his kid gets drafted to. And
That's
true. Here. Okay. Yeah. So, I mean, those two are going to be playing together and I don't know, probably for the Knicks. Okay.
Here's an interesting thing, though. I think LeBron wants to own a team. So do you think that
he owns
that's
the Cavs,
a way?
baby.
That's a way.
He pulls
maybe
a Michael Jordan and does the thing.
Michael Jordan never owned the Chicago Bulls, though.
Right.
He's part owner of Wizards.
Right.
Let's just say LeBron comes back to Cleveland and wins another championship as a member of the Cavaliers. He's literally like even more of a god than he was when he won it the first time. And just, I think that would entice him to want to come back here. And yes, there's the whole thing with his son and he wants to play with his son and whatnot and owning a team too. Those are two valid points. But I just think winning another one in Cleveland, he'd literally be God. That's all.
I'd love to see us win another title. And in terms of who do we need to bring in to make it happen, I don't care. At the end of the day, I don't like Ben Simmons particularly as a person. I don't really care for LeBron James as a person. But at the end of the day, both of those guys make this team better. And I want to see him win another championship. It was fun when we won. It was a lot of fun.
I think LeBron's not a horrible person. I think he's very complicated, in my opinion.
I didn't say he's a bad person. I don't think he's a bad person. I just don't particularly care for him. That's it.
Yeah.
He just rubs me.
I think he's a very complex person, personally.
LeBron back in Cleveland entices other players to sign in Cleveland.
That's a huge point. It makes us a more attractive free agent destination again.
And I don't know. I think one of my friends said this, but in regards to the JB Bickerstaff signing, he said something along the lines of that signing could have come with this idea that JB has some sort of idea that LeBron may be interested in Cleveland or something, like he knows something that we don't. Not saying that's true, but just
it's an interesting layer to the story for sure. Yeah. Yep. I agree.
Yeah. So overall, I would take LeBron back. I just, aside from the numbers, I'm just not sure of the fit, but I digress.
Fair enough. Well, we got about 10 minutes left. What have we missed out on? What have we not covered yet today? That's right.
Yes. So, first of all, no, I'm not going to sing because I already did that earlier, and I'm sure Jace doesn't want to hear my beautiful singing voice. Because I know how much he loves my singing.
I mean, you can go ahead and sing. I got a mute button over here. I can just mute the laptop. I don't got to hear you.
We got a berserker of the week this week.
Well, how about this? We got 10 minutes. So with this last 10 minutes, how about you guys pick? Everybody picks their winner of Cincy, Bama, Michigan, Georgia, and the national title.
Okay.
So,
I got Alabama beating Cincinnati, but closer than experts think.
And then
I only got to hold one thing up for Michigan against Georgia.
Yeah, baby. Let's go.
And then who do I think is going to win? Who do I think is going to win the national championship? Yeah.
Let's go. All right. With that being said, I don't.
Wow, the Michigan man going against Michigan.
I've got Bama big, real big. I've got Michigan covering but losing a close one. Michigan covers, but they lose in a close one. It's a lot like the Browns situation. I think we are a little bit limited at the quarterback position. I don't know that we have a guy that could potentially lead us over one of the best defenses that college football has ever seen. Unfortunately, I see us losing a real close one to Georgia, probably a heartbreaker. And then I've got Bama over Georgia again in the rematch. Nick Saban's the greatest coach of all time. They're the best team in the country right now. They've got the most depth. They are in pretty good position, if you ask me, to win another one. Chirk.
Bama versus Cincy. You know who I'm taking. Cincinnati, baby.
Okay, so you got Cincy. Who you like
Really
in Michigan,
close.
Georgia?
Really close game.
Okay, Michigan, Georgia.
Michigan.
So Cincy, Michigan, national title. Who you got winning?
Cincy.
Love it. All right,
Hey,
James.
it's a really close game, Brian, so it makes it even worse just for you.
Ah, man.
How would you feel if that happened?
I got Bama winning big and a laugher. Just like, yeah, this team doesn't belong, and we're Bama, so yeah.
No.
Thank you.
It's gonna be a clown show.
Thank you for being a truth teller.
Then, as far as Michigan and Georgia, I think Georgia wins. I think there's an outside impact that may impact the Wolverines, depending on a little medical thing they had go on the past week, which will limit some of their players, which could limit some of their availability, which means that Georgia has a massive advantage in that department. And I think Georgia wins comfortably. I'm not going to say easily. I'm going to say comfortably. And I think Bama wins the entire thing.
Cool. Zach, what do you got, bud?
I'll take Bama winning, Georgia winning, and then Bama over Georgia in the title game.
Okay, so we got the same picks there. Let me just say this. As a Michigan guy, the team is playing their best football right now. They're hot at the right time. They've got a great team. They've had a great season. They have the pieces to beat Georgia in a close one. I'm rooting for Michigan to win. I hope they win that game. I'm not saying that this isn't a good Michigan team. I love the team to death. I just, as an analyst, when I'm being objective, I just don't think that this is the year. I think next year is a more reasonable expectation for a national title for us. But yeah, sorry.
And I will admit this. Part of the reason, I'm picking Michigan is because I got that guy who's become one of my best friends. And plus, I have family connections. My sister went to Michigan, so I feel like I have to choose Michigan a little bit. And I will say this overall, it's hard for me when doing these types of shows and stuff to not bring my fandom into it. That's just become part of my nature, so I can't help that. But I think part of the reason why I'm also picking against Georgia is because I don't want to see Alabama, Georgia again. We just saw in the SEC championship. We saw in the national championship game a couple years ago. We've seen it a couple other times, both in the regular season and in the SEC championship, whatnot. I'm just tired of it. I personally, I like parity. I don't like seeing the same teams in the championship game every year. So, and also, I don't think that Alabama team that you saw destroy Georgia is the real Alabama. I don't think so.
I think it is. 1, 2. The reason we keep seeing Georgia and Bama over and over again is because they're two of the best teams. Okay, let's be real here.
Best conference, best teams, best organ. Yeah, I mean,
you want the two best teams at the end of the day playing against each other for the title. Okay.
Yeah. I agree with you there.
The best.
I agree with you there.
Yeah, I know.
I think it's good. It's good for the sport to have some parity. I would love to see some parity. Josh, I'm 100% with you. I'm tired of it. But James has a great point. At the end of the day, it's about the best two teams playing for a national championship. And I still happen to believe that those are the two best teams. The SEC is the best conference in college football. It still is. Nick Saban's still the best head coach in all of college football. And that team is still the most talented from top to bottom and the deepest team in the country. That's just how it's been for a while now. And it's going to take somebody stepping in and a guy like a Harbaugh coming in and winning a national title for some of that stuff to change. I just don't think this is the year it happens.
I mean, does that even change anything, though? Let's be real here. Does that actually change anything if a Harbaugh wins it?
It might change the impact. It might change the Big Ten a little bit, but the national landscape,
it does nothing in the national landscape. Who was the coach at Auburn who was there for like 2 years and won a title and got fired after they won a title? Gene Chiswick?
Yeah, Chiswick.
Like 2 seasons. Okay.
Yep. Yeah.
Dabo Swinney looks like he's like getting closer to getting ousted in Clemson. Let's be real.
And Florida State stepped in, and they had every once in a while we get an ACC or a Big 12 team that looks good, but they don't sustain. And that's the thing about Bama is that they do, because they reload every year. They're never rebuilding; they're always reloading.
Mm-hmm.
And until somebody in that conference challenges them consistently year in and year out, they're going to be in this conversation again next year, probably.
Right. I understand that. I'm just, for me personally, like I said, I don't like. I guess your dog really disagrees with us. With the Cavaliers, for example. Yeah, I love seeing them in the finals 4 consecutive years, but for it to be the Warriors on the opposing side every time, I'm like, okay, I'm a little bit tired of this matchup. Like when it became Warriors Raptors in the finals, yeah, the Warriors were still in it, but we had a new team on the other side. So I liked that matchup. I enjoyed Bucks Suns in the finals because it was totally new teams. Like same thing.
I enjoyed that finals.
Same thing with Lakers Heat last year. Totally new teams. So that's just that's what I prefer.
Me too.
In a perfect world, you have 2 different teams playing every year. Okay. Unfortunately, it's not a perfect world. You're going to have teams play each other over and over again. That's just how it is.
I get that.
Sometimes you get new teams.
Yeah.
The nice thing is that we did see some parity throughout the year. We had some really big upsets. We had some surprise teams. I mean, look at Michigan. They were 2-4 last year. They did not look like a team that was going to come out and win the Big Ten. So there has been some parity, but at the end of the day, the 2 best teams, it's still coming down to that division in the SEC. Those are the big dogs down there. So
right. Thankfully, Georgia and Alabama are not in the same division in the SEC. Alabama in the SEC West, if I remember correctly, and Georgia is in the SEC East. But are you guys even gonna, James? I would say you are the biggest Ohio State fan. Do you even care about the Rose Bowl?
No, I don't care. None.
Not even in
Not at all. Not even watch. I don't care.
Wasn't the Rose Bowl a big thing back in the day?
It used to be. Yeah, it was.
There was, back in the day, the Rose Bowl was a game that was played, and then after all the bowl games, people would come out with all of the rankings, and look, this team's the national champion. They happen to play in the Rose Bowl. It doesn't matter anymore. You want to make the Rose Bowl matter, make the national title game the Rose Bowl. But if they're playing the Rose Bowl and they don't have a chance to advance to play somebody else to win a title, I don't care.
Yeah, and you know what? That's why Ohio State is good, because of that attitude right there. Because we're gonna win the whole fucking thing, or we're not even going.
Let's see what you'll be saying when they lose against Cincy.
Who?
I'm telling Brian, Cincy will beat Michigan.
We're not even talking about Michigan.
We moved on from that, jerk.
But as far as Ohio State's concerned, it doesn't matter. I mean, we came here for titles. We didn't come here for bowl games.
Right.
Still had a jerk moment here.
We're here for a trophy. We're not here for the also-rans. Okay.
Yeah, I agree.
That's what we're here for. So when you see all these guys opting out, I'm like, okay, good for you. Go get yourself healthy, improve your draft stock, make sure that you're ready to go when you get drafted by an NFL team.
Yep.
That's what Garrett Wilson, Chris Olave, whoever else has opted out in the NFL. See you on Sunday.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
I still enjoy watching this is where I feel like I'm a bit of a football purist. I still really enjoy the Rose Bowl. I think it still has its majesty, if you will. So I'm going to thoroughly enjoy it. Although I will not be rooting for Ohio State.
What time is that game? I don't even know when it is.
I think it's on Saturday. It's at like 5:00.
I'm sorry, I'm just not used to non-prime time games on New Year's Eve. I don't know what this is. This is
it's brand new for you. I get that.
I would say Michigan is the biggest surprise of the 4 teams in the college football playoffs.
No, you can stop that right now with Cincinnati.
Wait,
stop that.
There's a non-Power 5 team there.
It's
and you're going to say Michigan's the
team
biggest
ever. End of story.
On that note, I think we have reached the end of all the topics we had to cover for today. I think this is probably a good time to wrap up.
Yeah, I rescind that last statement.
All right. Well, that statement's been rescinded. This has been fun. Thank you guys for being here, even though we're all on health and safety protocols. So, yeah. For right now, this is what we're doing, but hopefully by next week we'll be in the studio, but it's too early to tell with everything going on right now. So, yeah, stay tuned. Make sure you like and follow us on Facebook and on the YouTube channel. And if your notifications are on, we'll let you know where we're going to be. So you
R.I.P. Madden.
Yeah, R.I.P. John Madden. Thank you, everybody, for being here. Have a happy new year. We won't see each other until next year. So everybody have a good rest of the 2021 and be safe. And yeah, I look forward to seeing you guys next week.
Yep.
Any last words?
Berserker of the week.
Oh, who's your Berserker of the week? Go ahead.
Drum roll.
Drum roll.
John Madden.
Oh, it actually makes sense this week.
Wow.
The ultimate honor. It's a bummer he didn't live to see that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Well, hey, I will catch you guys next week. I am out of here.
Happy New Year's.
Happy New Year's, guys. Thanks for watching.